Oh, fighting games are not having much news at the moment. Well, actually, there was a big bit of fighting game news that dropped just this morning, wasn't there? I just saw that passing in my feed.
Yes. Lars Alexanderson was revealed for Tekken 8. I can't believe it.
Oh my god!
So yeah. I don't know which news you saw, but let's start with a big one. Oh no, actually, let's start with the small ones we don't care about, so we can just go over them. So Tekken 8 revealed Martial Law, Lars Alexanderson, King, and Jack 8. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, also Paul Phoenix. And yeah, the only thing of note here to me is under the reveal for, or one of the videos regarding the reveal for Paul, someone wrote, some people have a midlife crisis. Paul is having a midlife blast. And
Oh
yeah.
god. I mean, that hair.
Yeah.
Credit to them. They wanted to get rid of Paul's tower hair, but still make sure he had the stupidest hairstyle possible. So they found another stupid one.
Yeah, they just gave him like AJ Styles' hairstyle from Circuit like 2019. But yeah. So there's Tekken news. Then the big one, potentially, or a big one. Allegedly, this is rumors as far as I'm aware. Soul Calibur is either getting a remaster, some of the classic games in the Soul Calibur series, or other reboot. Which the second one, oh no, not a reboot, I'm wrong. It's a remake or a collection of the older games.
Okay, that depends on what's a collection of. I mean, Soul Calibur 2 is mandatory.
I mean,
And correct me if I'm wrong, the original Soul Calibur is ported to PS4, correct?
No.
I thought that was the case. I thought I'd played that on Soul Calibur 4. I thought it had been ported forward the same way Tekken 2 was.
No, it's only Tekken 2. Because we can't license that gone. But again, but yeah.
The big issue is the crossover characters. Though then again, Soul Cal 3 didn't have any crossover characters.
Yeah.
And Soul Cal 2, they could just use the PlayStation version with the Heihachi.
Exactly.
Because I doubt getting the Heihachi license is any difficulty.
Yeah. And like
Soul Cal 4 is not getting ported ever again.
No. If they are doing a collection, I imagine it will be Soul Edge, Soul Calibur 2, Soul Calibur 3 maybe. And then that's it. That's your lot.
Soul Calibur 3, on one hand, Soul Calibur 3 is still on the same system that Soul Cal 2 was, so if they're already putting in the work of porting over PS2 games, there's that. On the other hand, Soul Cal 3 does not have the same reputation that the first 3 Soul Cal games do. At the end of the day, I think like it's unusual that you and I are both fans of Soul Cal 3. I think most people generally think of Soul Calibur 3 as when the series started to go downhill. Strange as it may sound. Though, of course, like I said, me and you are both fans of Soul Calibur 3, so I think we both love to see a remaster of Soul Calibur 3.
Yeah.
And of course, Soul Calibur 2 is just Soul Calibur 2 as a complete package, I think is one of the most well put together fighting games in history.
I mean, I'm gonna say something very controversial. Soul Calibur 2 is okay. That's it.
Have you played Soul Calibur 2?
Yes. Yes, I have.
I thought you said you hadn't.
No, I have. I haven't played. No, I played Soul Calibur 1. All right, I've played. I played every game up to 3, and then I played 5, I guess, and 6. Yeah, I guess I only skipped 4 then. Didn't I?
Oh, lucky bastard.
But yeah. So that's my Soul Calibur.
Soul Cal was the earliest example for Bamco of this game does not need super moves. Why are you adding super moves?
Yeah.
The appeal to this was that it was grounded. Like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat having super moves. Sure, because, in Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, Ryu and Liu Kang shoot fireballs out of their fucking hands. Okay, yeah, probably they have a bigger fireball, or in Liu Kang's place, he can just punch you in the face so hard your face explodes. But Soul Cal and Tekken were very grounded kung fu and sword fighters. And if there was someone on the roster who had access to crazy supernatural abilities, they were usually the oddballs on the roster.
Yeah.
I've said that a million times. I'm just repeating myself, though.
But yeah, like I don't have the same love for Soul Calibur 2 as everyone else does, because I didn't grow up with it. I played it. I've played it because everyone said that it was good. It was okay. Like I wasn't amazed as much as everyone else seems to be. Like, I'm not gonna say Soul Calibur 2 sucked because it didn't. But at the same time, it's I think a part of the cult of personality around Soul Calibur 2 is just nostalgia.
Now, I want to defend it, but it's been so long that I can't really bring up any concrete arguments, and I don't want us to just both sit here arguing a game that neither of us have. That one of us has put a bit of time into, but not a whole lot, and the other one of us put a lot of time in 20 years ago. However, if you did play the Xbox version, you got the weakest of the guest characters. I know, hang on, I should say, there are a lot of people who are a big fan of Spawn as a character. But even if you are, it's Spawn without the cape. And the cape is a big part of Spawn, man. As you can tell in Mortal Kombat 11, where they decided that the majority of his budget should go towards the cape.
Yeah. I played the re-release that they had on 360 with Heihachi and Spawn.
Yeah, that is the best version. It's the only one where you can get two of the guest characters. Obviously, we are never getting a version where you get all three.
Yeah. Well, no, we might if they release the collection on Switch.
They might, but think about the extra work it would take in modern game dev logic to make two separate versions of the game. Because Xbox and PlayStation and PC will get the version that just has Heihachi and Spawn. Switch will get the one that has also Link.
I mean,
that's kind of like...
That's true, but do you not think that Nintendo would pay out for that?
That is also true. Nintendo loves to pay extra to get their shit in. The ultimate version will be when it comes out on PC and someone digs through the coding to find Link in there and just turns him back on.
Yeah. No. They dig through the code and find the cat mascots for PlayStation.
Yeah. That's so good. The thing I really love is that when you first get the mod for Street Fighter Cross Tekken, you have to, Cole and the cat mascots are in the game by default, and you can go into the, just Notepad Plus and go in and flip the 0 to a 1, and they'll be there, but they did not put the textures for them in the game. So you will fight an invisible Cole and invisible versions of the cat mascots.
Nice.
And there is a mod that is mandatory if you're playing Street Fighter Cross Tekken on PC that gets rid of the majority of the bugs, and more importantly, gets rid of Games for Windows functionality, which, by the way, if you buy Cross Tekken and if you buy Cross Tekken in modern year...
I don't think you can buy Cross Tekken in modern day anymore, unless you buy it on disc.
I believe you still can. I'm not for certain. I believe you still can, though, and the game just outright will not work because it depends entirely on Games for Windows functionality, and Games for Windows is not a thing anymore. So it's absolutely mandatory to get that mod in particular that fixes that. It fixes a variety of other crashes and bugs, because Cross Tekken is notoriously one of the worst PC ports of all time, and also gives Cole and the cats their textures back.
Nice.
Boy, it's easy to forget now. Capcom now are, really good about PC ports. Barring Sony themselves, Capcom is probably the best Japanese publisher when it comes to PC ports. But it's so easy to remember those days of 10 years ago when Capcom's PC ports, they just didn't give a fuck.
I mean, that's just Capcom 10 years ago, though.
That's not just Capcom 10 years ago, though, because that's also ties into the still rather large culture in Japan that PC gaming is for porn, so don't bother supporting it. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, was a AstroTurf movement by Nintendo to try and kill PC gaming in the cradle, right?
I have no clue.
I believe it was, and they've still not really got over that. And while the young folks are starting to come around on PC gaming over in Japan, the old folks in Japan still believe that if you're a PC gamer, that just means pornography, and you'll get stinky looks.
I mean, sounds like Nintendo. Then, Arika released a teaser for Fexel, where they made the game 3D. And I've seen people say that the game looks like Fighting Layer, which apparently is just the EX series. It's called Fighting Layer now, I guess. By which I mean Street Fighter EX. But no, like I played those games. Those games didn't play that way.
Fighting Layer was the Street Fighter EX, but we don't have the Street Fighter license anymore game.
Oh, there was a separate game that that I'm missing
and the reason
context.
Fighting EX. Okay, so it's a really weird thing. So what's the name of the Ken rival character from Street Fighter EX? D. Snyder or something like that? No, not D. Snyder. That's the lead singer of Twisted Sister. Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder? No, that's the guy. That's the weird pedo guy that made Jack. Yeah. Whatever. We'll just call him Snyder because at the very least I can remember that. So Snyder was introduced in Street Fighter EX as the fake-out rival character for Ken. He's this loser who thinks he's Ken's rival. He is not. Capcom later on ripped this characterization off for Rufus. Snyder is in, I believe, all of the Street Fighter EXs. He is also the only character from Street Fighter EX that is in Fighting Layer. Other than that, Fighting Layer had an entirely new roster, none of whom came over to Fighting EX Layer, by the way.
Ah.
As strange as it sounds, Fighting EX Layer does not actually feature anyone off the Fighting Layer cast who was not already in Street Fighter EX. I'm honestly really not sure why it's called Fighting EX Layer, other than just to have a unique name that isn't, hey, totally not Street Fighter EX.
Yeah. But yeah, so people are saying that the new gameplay that they tease looks like Fighting Layer. So we might be getting the Fighting Layer characters added to the cast. We might be getting a second game with the EX characters and the Fighting Layer cast that plays more like Fighting Layer instead of the weird mishmash of, hey, here's Street Fighter EX, but it's strictly locked to 2D now. Or at least I think it was. I might be wrong. I don't remember. We played Fighting EX Layer. I still don't remember if you can sidestep.
You cannot. No.
Okay, yeah, because in Street Fighter EX you can sidestep, but only as a happenstance. Like some moves just force you to sidestep. And yeah. That is as weird as it sounds.
Well, the thing that I saw is that really makes the most sense. I mean, admittedly, this is Arika. Arika will just abruptly drop things for, like, I mean, the Fighting EX Layer trailer came out on fucking April Fools.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing that I saw that makes the most sense is, someone pointed out, Arika is now making Tekken 8. Like, Harada obviously is still working on it, and Banco still publishing it, but it's being developed by Arika.
You're right.
And the thing is, Tekken 7 notoriously had rather iffy netcode And due to translation errors and just generally Harada being kind of an odd guy, it was never entirely cleared up what the fuck the problem was. Arika, on the other hand, has quite a bit of experience with rollback. They put it into Fighting EX Layer, even though I believe it did not launch with it. That is a huge endeavor. So they have some experience with turning games that are not rollback friendly into being rollback fighting games. And so the natural thing is, okay, so they specifically showed off Terry Bogard and who was the other guy they showed off?
Snyder,
right. Now, the thing is, if they wanted to make a Fighting EX Layer 2, what the fuck are the odds they could get SNK? Well, I guess they didn't have to go through much trouble to get Terry the first time, did they?
no. I mean,
But I'd be shocked.
Considering that Mai Shiranui is in some randomized gacha right now, I'm gonna wager that SNK still probably has a licensing agreement of, hey, I'd like to use your character, and then they go, okay, give me $5, and that's the licensing agreement.
Honestly, considering Smash Brothers, that's probably smart for SNK to keep doing for a while.
True.
They just need to start doing it with more characters than Terry. Especially, I love Terry, but there are other KOF characters that need to be shown off. And yes, I know Terry is from Fatal Fury. Shut up. Terry, yeah, it's odd to show off a crossover character in your initial gameplay demo. Again, though, Arika is so odd entirely by nature. It needs to be reiterated. The video that got dropped of 3D Fighting EX Layer was labeled like
new teaser. That's
fighting underscore test underscore 010023003 MOB.
I'm gonna check what the actual title is, but yeah, because okay, it's not even that. It's in Japanese. For one, we have two kanji, and we just have 2023 0322. That's it.
Yep. Good old Arika. So the question, I think, is, are they going to make this a separate thing of its own? Because there's already going to be some demand for it, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the difficulty of just porting the Fighting EX Layer characters into 3D, they might be able to just release this as a DLC or even a separate game. Though I think if they release this as a separate game, there's a lot of people who would feel like they're being cheated. Which admittedly doesn't make all that much sense to me. I don't see why a lot of people find recycled assets all that offensive. Nonetheless, the thing that more likely is, this is probably a test to figure out rollback in 3D.
Yeah.
In 3D fighting games. And probably just in general a way to figure out more experimental fighting game designs for Tekken as well. Though Tekken characters obviously have much, much larger movesets than Vexel characters.
But I mean,
though then again, Tekken, you'll open up that move list and see 100 moves, but how many moves will you actually use? Probably like 10.
5.
Yeah. Yeah, 10's being generous with some of the characters that actually have a lot of really good moves, like, I don't know, Devil Jin. But yeah, for most of them, Heihachi, you're going to be using 5 moves, brother. You only need those 5.
But you know, like in Tekken, if you get like a counter kill and the screen, like the background just goes away and instead the screen just starts flashing while the character just falls to their death and scream bloody murder, you'll know that it was Arika. Especially if Buddha shows up. If Buddha shows up, then you know it's Arika. But yeah.
Alright, what's up next?
Then SNK, speaking of, showed off King of One.
I did not see much of it. All I heard was that he does not have as crazy of pants tech as people were expecting, but he still got more than people expected from a 3D model.
I don't know, it looks the same as 14 to me. Legitimately,
I did see a little bit of like cloth shifting in like a little clip. So he's not just a static 3D model of pants.
But yeah, they showed off Kim. Kim's moveset is the same as Kim has always been, more or less. He got the thrust kick back. That's my
Well,
big takeaway. Oh,
well, the really important thing is that now when he does the Phoenix Flattener, a Phoenix actually comes out of him, which hasn't
that's
been a thing since fucking Real Bout.
yeah, I was about to say that has been a thing. It's just not since like 2000.
Real Bout was probably older than that.
Yeah, but you know, I'm giving some leeway because I don't remember if he had it in like Neo Geo Coliseum or some like dumb spin-off like that.
The way what I saw was that it was Real Bout. I'm going to bet that Kim in Neo Geo Coliseum would probably have just been a port of his KOF versions, and I don't think he's ever actually had the real Phoenix Flattener in any of the KOFs. Also, does this not imply that Kim's getting older too? Because it
Yes.
kind of seems like
Yeah. What?
like for the Phoenix to come out of him when doing the Phoenix Flattener, that almost kind of implies that he's moving forward in the timeline.
Maybe, but at the same time, his story in this game is that he's being forced to train.
He's being forced to train who?
No, he's being forced to train by the guy that they removed from 14, his master.
Oh. You little shit, stop jerking off and talking about justice. Do Kung Fu better. Do Taekwondo better.
They also showed off that Kim does have his outfit back. Like you can just switch him to his old outfit, so that's good.
Yeah.
I appreciate it because I don't like his new shirt. That's it.
It reminds me a lot of Ken's design in Street Fighter V.
Yeah, which I also hated, so...
I was fine with it, but as new Ken designs go, I like the Street Fighter 6 one better.
Yeah.
Hobo Ken. There you go.
Yeah, the entire city.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, no, the thing to me, like, the thing that I dislike in both the Street Fighter 5 Ken design and Kim's new design is that just the weightlifting shirt look just looks bad. It's very generic. And like, the gi, you could argue, is also very generic, but also Kim's been wearing a gi for 30 years.
I like the look of the gi with the sleeves tied around the waist.
Yeah. The pants and the stuff like that, that's fine. It's just the shirt that I have a problem with.
Yeah.
It's legitimately just the shirt ruins Kim's new design to me, and that's it. If they just removed the shirt or they did something else with it, I could like it.
Well, we can't have Ken here being shirtless while Armika is on the other side of the roster slapping her ass at launch.
Yeah. So there's that. Then we got news that the Switch version of DNF Duel will not have rollback netcode and will be delay based, further proving that DNF Duel is a game you should play.
That game is fucking hilarious. Did they announced that DNF Duel is at least getting rollback on PlayStation and Xbox, right?
It already has that. It came out with rollback.
Oh, I forgot that. What game was it that everybody was waiting to get rollback? Oh, Grand Blue.
Yeah.
At some point I'll download that 2-hour trial and give DNF Duel some kind of cursory try.
Yeah.
So I can at the very least say I tried it. Okay, these are the characters, blah blah blah. Like, it's just it just doesn't draw me in.
I mean, DNF Duel, the gameplay of it, at least, to me, just seems like the worst of both worlds. So, it's like I'd say it's the minimum appeal to me, but that feels like it's giving it too much credit. Like it's the even less than the minimum. The game is actively pushing me away.
I mean, the game itself is such a talking point with just the memes that at the very least I'll try and take a look at that. And there's the talking point of like, well, it's Marvel, but more Kosoge, which at the very least does make me curious, like, okay, how stinky can this get, right?
Very. You haven't seen the things I've seen. The same combo repeated 5 times for 100% damage.
All right, then.
And that's every character.
The great
that
thing
I've
is when
seen.
you see an infinite where the combo proration is like super strong, but it's still an infinite.
Yeah.
So he just loops the same 5 moves over and over again until he wins by timeout.
That's the thing though, like the gameplay I've seen on DNF Duel, like if it was just the infinites, I wouldn't like it, but you know, whatever, I understand that. No, I've seen matches of DNF Duel, both by people who know what they're doing and by people on the intermediate level, where the entire match was just, okay, it's my turn, I'm gonna do this one combo, and you're gonna block it, and eventually either you block it or you counter. If you you will stop blocking or
Wait, you mean they've got infinite blockchains?
Yes. And the infinite blockchains are the same as the infinite combos. So you just do the same combo for all of the interactions in the game, and eventually one of you wins.
Oh boy, so it's just a do this move, idiot.
Yeah.
You can't lose. Oh my fucking god.
Like, see why I shit on DNF so much? It's like people hype it up as like, oh, you get to do combo and shit. It's, you know, getting some... So no! Yo, there's no variance. There's only this one combo that this character does. And that's the game.
Now, you gotta keep in mind, though, there are a lot of people, though, that will still look at, let's say, the Power Rangers game where that Lord Ooze is super tough or whatever, and they'll yell, Kasugi! Or they'll play Injustice 1 and see Lex Luthor just get permanently trapped in the corner by Zod, and go, Kasugi! Yeah!
I guess I just want more actual entertainment value out of my Kusoge. Rather than just, hey, this game sucks. That's the selling point.
But
yeah, like genuinely, I've tried to give DNF Duel a try in just watching videos of it before they added the chance to the trial. And like it genuinely just seems like the worst of both worlds. You get the easy inputs that is very trendy right now, and you get the worst parts of Marvel where it's all infinite blockchains and combos, and you get killed off of one touch. Wow, I wonder why more people don't play this game. Easy one touch death. Like, I may not like Battle for the Grid either, but at least Battle for the Grid, it takes more effort for you to actually get to one-touch deaths. You know. But anyway. Also, Tom Cannon confirmed that there will not be a projectile update on EVO Japan. Oh, there... I see. Are you among us? No. Alright, let's...
what the fuck was that?
And we're back. DNF Duel. Just blockchain your PC to death.
I'm gonna have to figure out what the fuck that was later. Yeah, DNF Duel, that sounds wacky.
Yeah. So, Tom Cannon
let's
confirmed...
move on to another topic. Let's
that's what I'm doing. Tom Cannon confirmed there will be no projectile update on EVO Japan. Alright, cool.
I mean, yeah, it's not been a very quick, very heavily updated development. I don't know why people would expect anything. Especially at EVO Japan. Like, that's a Western-made fighting game with a generally Western license. If it was EVO Korea, it'd be a different story. But there is no EVO Korea, so if they're going to announce anything at an EVO, it's not going to be EVO Japan.
And I believe that's it. That's all of the news.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
They did show a little bit of They did show a new developer match for Street Fighter 6. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't.
It was Lily versus Honda, and it was the most we've seen of Honda in a minute.
Ah.
The Honda can build up stacks that improve the 100-hand slap somehow.
Oh,
I don't know if that was figured out exactly what that does, but Lily is 100% T-Hawk with an extra stock building mechanic. But she, is absolutely, just T-Hawk.
So she's also boring. I see. So anyway.
And my earbuds just stopped working. What the fuck's
Cool.
going on?
Everything's going awesome. Recording again. And we're back allegedly. So, how many more just technical problems will we have this episode? Find out later, I guess. So,
it's been all me so far, which is the crazy part. So,
I did find some other news topics. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, right, Lily, right. Yeah, it looks like Lily's got pretty well everything T-Hawk ever had, plus the ability to build that kind of wind stack. Whatever she does with it, I'm not quite certain yet. She very much, though, has T-Hawk stuff.
I see.
And the clubs are supposed to make up, I think, for her being a little girl with tiny limbs, whereas T-Hawk had rather large limbs.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you look at Lily's stage how they're trying to finally deal with that thing of, oh yeah, T-Hawk's the closest thing Street Fighter has to Mexico representation. Other than El Fuerte, who was, of course, embarrassing on several levels. So, we've got this Native American reservation where we're still really not sure what tribe T-Hawk and Lily are supposed to be. But now we've also thrown in some dudes wearing sombreros and ponchos, just so you know it's Mexico. From what I've seen in Mexico, generally speaking, they ain't so big on the sombrero nowadays. They're bigger on the good old 10-gallon hat.
Yeah.
Just throw in... Mexico Street Fighter should just be the land of Doug Dimmadomes.
Oh, they're all showing Crash Nebula.
Yeah.
New news that I found literally during recording. Multiverse is ending its open beta June 25th
yeah,
and will
that's
launch early in 2024.
That's what I was mentioning at the very start of the recording. I didn't say it by name because I figured, okay, we'll save it for later. But yeah, Multiverses is going to, for all intents and purposes, temporarily shut down. On April 4th, they will be taking it off of storefronts. If you already have a copy of Multiverses, then you can continue playing until like June 24th. And then it will be down for the rest of 2023 and a considerable stint of 2024 as well. Seemingly just so they can probably implement whatever big overhauls they want to, make some changes to the gameplay, and probably add a couple more big characters. After all, there are still some big ones people are expecting that we've not seen yet, like Gandalf or Godzilla.
I mean, Gandalf they're probably not adding anymore just because of the whole rights debacle with the Lord of the Rings.
Don't need to worry about that anymore. Warner Brothers just outright bought Lord of the Rings rights off of the Tolkien family.
Oh, okay then. Yeah.
Which is terrifying because they will do nothing good with it.
You know,
they do have free license to include Gandalf and Gollum now, so hey.
They're gonna take Multiverse offline, and then in 2024 you'll boot the game up, and all of the cast is Pickle Rick, all of it.
Funniest shit I ever. No, I don't. The joke was played out 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, that's the joke. The joke is that they apparently the character they're still working on right now is Pickle Rick. That's the biggest joke.
You know, if they're doing that, I would rather they just gone for Big Chungus. If they're gonna do any fucking meme character for the sake of just having the Zoomer memes.
I mean, that's the thing.
I don't.
Yeah.
Big Chungus is a hell of a lot funnier than Pickle Rick, and there's still no real joke there other than it looks silly. But Big Chungus does look delightfully silly.
I don't know. I don't find either of them funny. The difference between the two for me is that Pickle Rick is a forced meme, where the meme was look at Rick and Morty, look at how much it sucks. Big Chungus was just an absurdist meme. It's just Fat Rabbit, cool, weird name.
It's not just that he's fat; it's that he looks like a bowling pin.
I guess. I don't know. The funniest part of the Big Chungus meme to me is still just that one guy doing the Metal Gear cutscene, explaining what it is.
Oh, Gilbert Gottfried. Or no, Liquid Snake, excuse me. The Gilbert
Yeah.
Gottfried, they had do the usual Liquid Snake monologue. They had Cam Clark do Liquid Snake doing the Big Chungus monologue.
although Gilbert Gottfried doing a shitty impression of Liquid Snake, talking about Big Chungus would have been good.
Yes, it would have.
I would have enjoyed it.
So this is kind of an interesting thing here of people have been saying for a while that Multiverses was doing a lot worse. My thing with that argument was just that they were using Steam charts as the primary argument, and I was kind of like iffy on that. Like, okay, but let's be real here. Multiverse's primary audience is going to be kids. You look at the majority of the cast; those are kid characters. It's free to play. Free to play is going to always be the type of game that appeals most to kids because they don't have money, and otherwise they have to ask their parents for games, and a lot of times their parents are going to say no. So naturally, free to play games are generally going to be the ones that appeal best to kids. And kids are generally not PC gamers. They are more likely to be console gamers. So I never thought Steam Charts was an entirely
That's
fair
a
way.
regional thing. That's a regional thing, because over here in Europe, PC gaming is just what everyone does. I'm weird.
Yeah, that's fair. But like here in the States or in Asia or most of Latin America, PC game, like especially Asia and Latin America, where good quality, high heavy duty PCs are a lot more difficult to get access to. But here in the States, even, PC gaming is generally seen as more of an adult thing. And I'm sure that things will change over time. America generally tends to follow Europe in a lot of trends, and I'm sure that in time, PC gaming will overwhelm console gaming here, because it just kind of looks like we're already doing that, unless console gaming turns into PC gaming, which also seems to be happening. But nonetheless, boy, don't you love that you can now open up a console game and it'll give you a graphics settings menu.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Multiverses, I never felt that was a really honest way to judge that, but it seems that I was at least partly wrong, that yes, Multiverses was in trouble. If Multiverses was a huge rollicking success still, they would not take the hit of closing down business for 6 months while they overhaul it.
Yeah.
However, I do appreciate that they are putting some real meat behind it and trying to make it a thing again, rather than just going, it's a failed project, shutter the doors.
Yeah.
They're honestly the closest comparison I can think of here, and I'm not an expert on this game, so I could be entirely wrong here, but I believe this is an accurate comparison. It reminds me of Final Fantasy XIV.
I don't know, because multiverses set out to do something, it achieved that something, and it was well liked by a few, but it didn't have staying power. Whereas Final Fantasy XIV...
It was well liked by a lot, they just walked away after a week or two.
Yeah.
Well, it's closer to like a month, maybe two. It was hot for a minute there, but
yeah,
yes, it did burn out rather quickly.
Whereas Final Fantasy XIV was just bad, and then they just
remade the game. That is definitely true. Yeah, FF14 was bad out the gate, whereas Multiverses had a lot of hype going into it, but it was more so that people spent time with it and were able to notice more finer flaws in the gameplay. And more importantly, a lot of the game was built on hype and new characters. Oh, who can be added next? You can never expect it. They're all surprises. And then the character releases slowed down considerably.
And then they were also just like, here's 2 gremlins.
The gremlins, yeah, that was an interesting choice.
Black Adam.
Now, Black Adam, you know that one was forced on them by management.
Yeah.
That one, there is no fucking way that the 5th DC character they add is, we got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn. Okay, number 5 has obviously got to be either Joker or the Flash, right? Yeah. No, Black Adam. What? Get the fuck out.
And then also just the thing of like, oh, we didn't launch it enough Rick and Morty characters. Let's add both of them. And then also we have Pickle Rick coming down the pipeline. And also we've been waiting for Pickle Rick for the past like 3 months. At least.
Pickle Rick being the next guy is a guaranteed hype killer.
Yeah.
Because really, honestly speaking, unless you are one of those Zoomer kids who is so memed to their fucking gills that you're borderline brain damaged and can only think in terms of memes, and your parents don't understand you and can't hold a fucking conversation with you. Like, unless if you're a normal kid, then you're gonna be like, Pickle Rick, what the fuck? Like, what's the cartoons the kids are into now? I honestly don't know.
Bluey.
But like, they'd probably be more like, why can't we get
Bears.
Cyborg from Teen Titans Go? Right? Like, how many kids are gonna be going like, where's the Teen Titans Go kids? Where's more like Star versus the Forces of Evil?
Oh, that thing's not on air anymore.
Where's more, I don't know, Adventure Time? I guess Adventure Time was probably more popular with my generation than it was with Zoomers.
I mean, that's the thing though. Like, I'm a Zoomer, so like Zoomers aren't 5. Technically, my niece's generation is a different one from Zoomers.
That is true, and the generational barriers are so blurry sometimes. Like, I will see entirely different generational charts that will either put me as a millennial or a Zoomer. And Mike, I've noticed before, and I've laughed at him before, and he says bullshit every time. Those generational charts will sometimes mix up whether Mike is Generation X or a millennial. And that one always cracks me up because Mike, you know, he doesn't do it nearly as much as he used to, but 5 or 6 years ago, Mike would always rant about how much he hated millennials.
Yeah. I mean, you know, whenever I do research, the cutoff date for Zoomer stuff tends to be, I think, the start of 2000. Like, legitimately January 1 or 2 of 2000 or something dumb like that, which means that I'm among the first Zoomers, but I'm still a Zoomer.
Yeah. I always wind up being on the cusp for these things.
Yeah.
Like, some horoscope charts can't agree whether I'm Cancer or the next one down the line. I always thought that was a funny one. Or our schooling districts back in Indiana. I was like on the cusp between being in one year or the other, depending on like schooling schedules.
Ah, nice.
And so the choice was either I end up being the youngest in my class by a wide margin or the oldest in my class by a wide margin. And my parents naturally chose for me to be the oldest.
Yeah.
Made it look weird, though, when I was still going to high school at 18 years old.
Yeah.
Didn't like that. Anyways. So. What was it? Yeah, multiverses. I mean, it's neat to see that. And hopefully they get some time to work on the things that would really hype people up. I think for a lot of people, I mean, like, some balance changes I'm sure could really help the game's longevity and ensuring it gets a serious audience that will stick around and continue trying to get people in and marketing the game without the game's marketers actually doing anything. At the same time, I think the number one thing that is just going to get more people in is just more characters. Give me more toys. Right?
Maybe. I mean, one of the biggest things that I've seen raised against multiverses whenever it was like, you know, I don't play fighting games, but I try to run multiverses and whatever. It's just lack of single player stuff. You can't really do much. Even setting up a bot match is hard.
That is absolutely true. There is absolutely no single player content. And I think on some level that was intentional at first to try and build up a big multiplayer community. But at the end of the day, people just have more anxieties about playing fighting games than they do about playing Call of Duty.
Yeah,
people will pop in Call of Duty and they'll get their asses kicked by the dude running around with dual shotguns and they'll say it's bullshit and then they'll pop into the next game. Fighting games, though, you get your ass whipped early on, or just the idea of you getting your ass whipped early on, and you're spooked off of that game forever. Possibly all fighting games forever.
Yeah, and there's also just the crust of the people that just, you know, is just, I don't feel like playing with other people. I just, you know, it's not even an anxiety thing. It's just, I would enjoy beating up the AI and not actually thinking about things right now. And once again, even setting up a bot match is hard.
Yes.
But yeah. Go ahead.
Like, it just, for me, like, part of it always goes down to Soon, because Soon was the biggest fan of multiverses in our group. And Soon is a guy who needs constant new releases. And if he doesn't get constant new releases, he burns out on games pretty quickly. Like, he's burned out on Total War Warhammer pretty hard right now, because right now Total War Warhammer's DLC releases are generally 6 months apart.
Ah,
Whereas the first entry in the series, they were about a month apart. The DLCs sucked back then, but they came out rapidly, and they always kept him giving him something new to do. So he's really into it.
yeah.
And while my series and the interest in the series has only gone up with time, his has only gone down to the point where now he pretty well doesn't play it. And I think there are, realistically speaking, a lot of people who do that. A lot of people who do not want to play with the same content over and over. There are a lot of people who just want to try new things constantly. And once it's done being new, they aren't interested in it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think for that audience, which is probably a lot of people, I think Multiverses did very suddenly lose its appeal. However, you are also absolutely right. That game has no single-player content.
Yeah.
And that half-assed arcade mode they threw on at the end was very much just a kind of bandage on a disembowelment wound.
Yeah. And then as for my part, like, I don't particularly care either which way what happens to Multiverses. I care about its ramifications, I guess, but otherwise, like, you know, people like Multiverses, it sticks around, cool. It goes its thing, I don't care. I didn't like the gameplay.
Well, we're going to have to see how things are going. I've actually been hearing some rumblings that business-wise, MTX models are starting to actually fail pretty hard.
Well, by
And
MTX, do you mean traditional MTX, or do you mean the new stuff? Like, do you
Well, I've been
mean?
hearing the Battle Pass system stuff ain't working.
Ah,
Like, if I were to make a prediction as to where things are going to go in the next 10 years, I think as it is, there's going to be kind of like a three-way split here. Because there's the whales, and there will always be whales. Though the whale amount is going to go down very rapidly very soon, because you know what we're coming up on?
recession.
A recession. Yes. Groceries are about to become a problem. Unemployment is about to become a problem. People are generally not super smart with their finances, but they're not stupid enough to spend loads of money on FIFA Ultimate Team when they're struggling to get groceries, unless they have a serious mental illness.
Yeah, which I mean,
So,
to be, I don't know if it's devil's advocate, but the mental illness is what they aim to exploit there. So
it is, but I don't think there's that many people who are really that mentally ill who do not have someone else in their lives who will at some point stop them. The whales will always be there, but there's not that many of them. They will spend so much money that they will make a lot of profit, but the whales really, like, they dig in not so much on instances like Multiverses where, let's be real here with Multiverses, if you've got money to burn, or a lot of these games with MTX systems like that, if you got money to burn, you got your characters, you got your costumes, okay, you've got it all. Comparatively, the whales are really going to be beneficial for stuff like FIFA Ultimate Team, where it's like, it never fucking ends. Right? You
yeah,
can
like,
always keep spending money.
yeah, like the whales want the just completely unadulterated gacha. They want to buy 5
They want
PNGs.
gotcha, but instead of a suspiciously aged anime girl wearing a revealing skirt, they want fucking Pele
That was going to say,
wearing
like,
a revealing skirt.
I was gonna say, like, they want gacha. They want to buy 5 different PNGs of Ronaldinho with boobs,
Yeah.
and hopefully all little things covering those boobs as they can get away with.
The super rare derpy statue version of Ronaldo.
Yeah.
And conversely, I think for the kiddies don't have that much money to spend, so they just go for whatever they can get for free. And then for the hardcore gaming audience, they have been steadily spurned off year after year by games with MTX. And to be frank, there's another thing going on right now, which is Japan has started to really catch up. Japan was dominant in the gaming industry from like the late 80s to early 2000s, but with the late 2000s, they started to have some issues. And there's a variety of reasons for that going on, but there was a very tangible period where Capcom and Konami and Square, a lot of them just seem to be running in motion. Or running in place, excuse me, not running in motion. That would be whatever. Running in place or running backwards, especially in Capcom and Konami's case. Whereas now Capcom's catching back up. FromSoft is one of the most dominant developers in the industry right now. And Japanese game developers don't fuck with MTX much. Like, they have Gacha. Gacha is still doing its thing over there in the corner, but that's on phones and that's for weird perverts.
I mean, the thing is like, you know, the Square messes with that sort of stuff, but they mostly fuck around with blockchain stuff. They fuck around with NFTs, and that's a thing
which is already collapsed. A market that is already collapsed.
But wait a second. Here's the kicker. I can't blame Square because the Japanese government, the guy that replaced Abe, I think, I forget, whatever, the current prime minister, is giving a tax relief or whatever the hell to companies that work with blockchain stuff. So Square...
That's hilarious.
Square is getting forced into bankruptcy by the Japanese government.
Well, to be fair... Hang on, you have to actually consider, is the tax cut worth it?
Hopefully not. Like, I want this to be as funny as possible.
Like, we'll give you a tax cut of $1 if you cut off your foot. You know what? You can just have the dollar, Bao. I can pay that extra $1 on my taxes. I'm not that offended by paying the extra $1 to keep my foot.
No, but you're thinking like someone who actually thinks about this stuff. You have to think like an investor. No, cut off that foot. We need that dollar.
Well, that is the issue, which is especially an issue in just generally modern corporate mentality, is the idea of always cut overhead. Never expand, never focus on like, okay, this is an acceptable overhead cost. Always cut overhead, regardless of whether or not you're cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, if we don't go for the infinite money cheat, then we won't have infinite money. We have to go for the infinite money cheat. Never mind that it hasn't been invented yet, but you know, let's go for the infinite money cheat. We need that.
Hey, where'd our profits go?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We sold off all our assets. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's... It's going to be some interesting times we're about to come up on. As the Japanese say, may you live in interesting times. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Either which way, what was I going to say? Right, well, that was about the extent of the news this week. What's a game that's still active right now that you think needs a multiverses style go away for 6 months and come back with an overhaul?
For Honor? I mean,
you know,
like that's the most basic, easiest answer. I'm gonna think of an actual one, but For Honor is just like like, you know, once every year, just go away for 6 months and then just reinvent yourself. Eventually, you'll find who you are. I hope.
Yeah, that's that's the thing, right? Admittedly, it's easier for me to say because I'm already a fan of Total War, and Total War pretty well does what we're talking about. They don't take Total War away for 6 months, but you know, they do go away for a while and then they come back with a huge update that fixes lots of issues and adds lots of cool new toys. That is somewhat of an appealing model because you get more consistency. It's not so much the wild thing of like, oh, what's good in this update? What's bad in this update? Oh, there's this new character. She's going to be OP for the next month until they update her. All this, that, and another. It is more convenient to have like, okay, we've got 6 months of stability coming up on us, and then by the time we're tired of the way the game is now, there'll be a big new release of content. Okay. And For Honor in particular, it would be really cool if they didn't do the DLC season pass character passes. I would be a lot more interested in For Honor if they stuck to the Marching Fire model. Of, okay, the Knights, the Samurai, and the Vikings have enough characters. So do the Chinese dudes. We are going to camp out for a year, come back next year when we release the Egypt pack.
Well, yeah, but once again, this like circles back around to do the infinite money cheat. Just put in the battle ass and give like drip feed all of this shit. Like drip feed a character that will work.
The battle pass, which worked so well for multiverses.
Yeah. But like, you know, drip feed this one character for like half a year, which is, I believe, actually a thing they did. Like, just slowly reveal this character for half a year and then release them. In the meanwhile, put in recolors for everything that's in the game already. And then just repeat this for every character until like time memoriam. Eventually we will have all of the money in the world.
There's only so many whales in the gaming market, right? And there's only really so much space for games that really are super MTX heavy, super Battle Pass heavy. At the end of the day, no one that is coming up right now is going to knock Fortnite or Call of Duty or FIFA off the MTX throne. Yeah, Call of Duty, even, I don't really know that much about what Call of Duty's business structure is now. I just assume they have loads of MTX, because why wouldn't they?
I mean, the latest I heard about Call of Duty's like business model is someone on their Reddit posted of like a fan design for an outfit that they then ripped off and put into the game, and then the person,
yeah, the wolf.
Yeah, the person then went like, "Hey, that's actually my design. I can prove this," and then the design was removed from the game.
That is hilarious. Yes.
Like they didn't. It wasn't even a case of obviously I didn't copy this. Thing looks the same. No, it was legitimately the same design, the exact same design that was in the art that they made. And that's the baffling bit.
Oh boy.
But yeah, like the very heavily monetized stuff failing is good for me because I hate it. And I didn't think we'd ever reach this point. But at the same time, there is also the thing that you said, where like there can only be a couple games like this that can actually succeed off of this design principle. And the problem with it is that every company wants to be the one.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that we're running into, is that like Multiverses wants to be Fortnite. Multiverses will probably not be Fortnite, let's be real here, but it really wants to be. It wants to make the Epic Games money.
At the end of the day, like, there have always been stupid business decisions. Always. You look over history, as long as there have been people running businesses, there have been people that just screw up and go, oh, whoopsie doodles, as, Rome burns around them and they're fiddling. It is annoying in video games, because sometimes it can be a game that we were really interested in, and they make a bunch of stupid business decisions. They make a game that feels very hostile to the player and very difficult to get into, because it's like, well, you buy this and that and another, and all this, that, and another. And there's also the annoying thing of developers publishers and developers putting time and money and effort into games that are bound to fail because they have ridiculous business models trying to compete with hulking super giants of games that they really can't. And you could just sit there and go, well, I wish they would have put that time and money and effort into something that I would have wanted. Because at the end of the day, there are definitely always instances of developers and publishers you like wasting their time with that, and even getting killed because they wasted their time with that and their money with that, and it didn't pay off at all. The bright side is, as long as there is a market for video games, people will continue to make video games. People will make stupid business decisions, but that's not all people that make business decisions. And let's be frank here, every business is bound to fail at some point unless it's protected by the government.
Yeah.
And even then, the government's bound to fail at some point, and then the business will go with them.
But yeah, like, just...
I remember we used to think Walmart was unstoppable and immortal 20 years ago. And we used to think that, like, don't buy from Walmart, buy from Target or Kmart to protest Walmart and their monopolies. And, like, cut to 20 years later, now Walmart is really only there in, like, the real podunks of America because Amazon has entirely outpaced it. And one day there's going to be somebody who teleports products directly to your house, and Amazon's going to go out of business.
One day, so some businessman will Tiger Suplex Jeff Bezos and steal all of his power.
Dude, that would be the ultimate business takeover. What do we do if Jeff Bezos is doing a presentation, an Amazon business presentation, and you just see distantly in the background walking towards him, Kiryu holding a briefcase.
Bezos initially doesn't accept the money, but then he takes out the bicycle from the briefcase.
Hope you got your Kiryu insurance.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Like, yeah, not to get too stuck on the bad business design and all, or decisions that lead to bad game design. Or well, bad isn't. I don't know if bad is the right word, but inflammatory and arrogant in some ways game design.
No, bad business decisions is a good choice. If it leads to the business failing, it was a bad business decision.
But yeah, like I'm just reminded of how Ubisoft, like, I always go back to AC, but like I played those games approximately like 50 times throughout the series. So it's the thing that I have the most experience with, even though I've been playing video games most of my life. But like, yeah, like I'm just reminded of how, like, you say that DLC is the strategy guides of the modern age, and I disagree, because there's a very, very much more direct thing that is in some games, but not all of them, which is time savers. That's the actual strategy guides of today. Because it's just like, hey, we made this problem so that we can sell you this thing, and it will stop being a problem.
Yeah, in terms of direct comparison, yeah. Like, for my part, I just think of, like, strategy guides in terms of, like, time savers aren't a super widespread thing right now. It definitely pops up in several AAA games, and I'm sure loads of MMOs, and I'm sure loads of phone games, but those are a whole thing into themselves. But when I make the comparison to strategy guides, I don't mean, like, specifically, like, it's the exact same game design strategy. I mean, like, it's the same, like, it's the dominant, I don't want to say predatory, but I guess predatory. It's the dominant predatory monetization scheme of its era, right?
I suppose.
And I'm going to be honest,
yeah.
Microtransactions, well, DLC is not going to go away, because at the end of the day, there will always be good DLCs and bad DLCs.
Yeah.
But if MTX starts to go away for everyone but the big whale catchers like FIFA or Fortnite, then there will be a new MTX scheme. That's just how the industry has always gone. In every period of the industry, you can figure out where the monetization scheme is,
Yeah.
Though, of course, the cost varies from game to game. And also varies depending on how strong inflation is in a given time period.
Yeah, like,
man, I don't get how people bought NES games. How the fuck were you paying $60 for goddamn, like, E.T. the extraterrestrial in 1979?
That's Atari.
You could probably buy a fucking house with that. I know it's Atari, but still, you could probably buy a fucking car with that money back then.
Nah. Like
I'm joking. Yeah. Obviously, you can't buy a car with $60 at any point in American history.
I mean, you might be able to buy a car with $60 back when it was like the T model.
I don't know. That probably still would have cost a bit more back then, especially because the T model was so exotic when it first came in.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, in the old West, a shotgun would cost you maybe $30. So I imagine the T model, if the T model had came out in like 1860, I still imagine it would have been, worth more than 2 shotguns.
Yeah, probably. Then again, who
Boy,
knows?
what a time to be alive, though. A shotgun for $30.
Yeah.
But then again, you went to work and you got paid a dime, so.
But yeah, it's like the thing with the monetization of your is just things were more. Well, this depends on region. In America, I can only talk about the stuff that I've learned through osmosis and just doing some cursor research and stuff like that. But in America, in America, it was the whole thing of you don't really buy games, you rent the games on Blockbuster, and if you really like it, then you save up the money and you buy the game. Over here,
which is why the gimmick was they would pad the fuck out of games back then, so you couldn't beat the game from Blockbuster.
Yeah, and then over here, depending on where you live and depending on your social status, you either got an actual NES and you bought games for it every once in a while. Or you did what most people did and bought a Famiclone from China, because there's a lot of people coming in, or there are a lot of people coming in from China. You bought a Famiclone from China, and then you bought bundles of games for like, I don't know, like you bought a bundle of, I want to say like 10 to 15 games for $30.
Yes.
'Cause a
Well, the
game-
NES, of course, would have been. The NES came out during the Soviet Union, so naturally it wasn't getting imported.
Yeah. No, actually, the NES was imported at one point, because I owned one. Like, allegedly, I owned an actual NES at one point. I have no recollection of this because I was approximately 2, but,
Well,
you know.
it would have been like 2000, right?
Yeah,
or
it
2001,
was. Yeah,
right?
2000.
So, there had been 11 years for people to bring in NESs.
Yeah. But, like, there was also this weird thing with technology where, like, I had an NES that was the major leading console for a bit. But also, the PlayStation 1 was already out. The PlayStation 2 technically existed, but wasn't in yet. It's gonna be in like a year. Like, we just got consoles. We just got like 5 consoles, one after another. I've seen a GameCube being sold here. I don't know how, because those things don't actually exist. GameCube is actually made up. It's propaganda by Nintendo.
The GameCube barely existed in the States.
But yeah, like
I remember the GameCube being the rich kid's console over here.
Ah. But yeah, like that's why my story with console and stuff like that is weird, because like I played
And you only had an OG Xbox if your parents were prejudiced against the Japanese.
Yeah. Kinda. Look, Bling is the Time Sweeper. I actually don't know how that game plays, but it exists, I guess.
I went to my cousin's house and played that game once, and I thought it was the fucking coolest, but I couldn't remember anything about it except that I thought it was the fucking coolest.
I need to get an Xbox again, because I believe you can buy Blinks on Xbox One.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. What was I saying? So yeah, that's why my whole thing with consoles is weird, because like I played NES up until like 2010. Nah, I played NES up until like 2007 or so. Then I got a PS2, and I played the PS2 until like 2015. Then I played the PS2 until 2013. Then I got a 360. And then in 2015, I think I got an Xbox One, and then, whatever. And I only have a working PS4 now. So
yeah.
But yeah, like I think I also have a different outlook on the monetization like that, because of this discrepancy though, because like game guides weren't a thing. if I found something esoteric in a game, I either ignored it or I figured it out if it was necessary to progress. It's also probably why I don't like Zelda. Let's be real here.
Oh boy, Castlevania 2!
Yeah, I never played Castlevania. No, I played Castlevania 2, but it was well after I actually had an NES. But that's a lot of those games. The games I owned were just like there is this weird thing because of having Famiclones though, where like I know games that you wouldn't know even if you were around the NES era, because they were Japan exclusive or Asia exclusive games that I got to play because I owned a Chinese Famicom console.
Yeah.
And so, like, Samurai Pizza Cat, for example, never saw the anime because it wasn't a thing over here. I just saw Robot Cat. Looks cool. Robot Cat with katana. Looks cool. Alright. And I have a lot of memories of that game. There was a Gundam game, the SD Gundam game. I don't remember anything of it because it was on the same cassette or whatever cartridge. We call them cassettes over here. It was on the same cartridge as Street Fighter 2 on the NES. Like there was one cartridge. It was SD Gundam. It was Street Fighter 2. It was Dragon Ball Butoden. One of them. I don't remember which one. But yeah, like Butoden, I don't believe was ever released. Actually, it might have gotten released in the West, but whatever. It was also an SNES game. So, just like Street Fighter 2. But never you mind that, I played them on my NES. Because that's the power of China.
How do we put a CPS-1 board on the NES?
Yeah.
Al, you're gonna have to put in a little bit of elbow grease.
Not even how do we put a CPS-1 board on the NES? How do we put a CPS-1 board in a normal, like not even a normal size, a small size NES cartridge? Because I don't know if you've ever seen a yellow cassette. I don't know if you've ever seen the Famicom cartridge that they used, but it was like half the size of the NES cartridge.
At this point, I'm almost expecting this thing to be the product of a fucking human trafficking scheme.
Maybe. I wouldn't know. But yeah, and
Like, I'm just imagining wee Babby Addy, like, oh, sweet, a Fama clone, and in the background, some poor guys are being pushed ahead with cattle prods. They're in manacles and shackles.
I don't know, because the Chinese people that live around here, or used to live around here at least, they weren't of money. Like, you know, it's not like America, where only the rich Chinese people get to go. In fact, these people, some of these people I'm pretty sure ran away from China. So
Oh, I'm sure plenty of people have run away from China.
the rest
There are people I'm sure running away from China right now in droves.
Yeah. But yeah, like and to tie this back to fighting games, that's why we're here today. That's how I got into fighting games. Just
Yeah.
fucking Street Fighter 2 on the NES, which was weirdly fully featured. It just didn't have backgrounds. Well, no, it didn't have moving backgrounds. And it only had like 3 stages, but you know, they were the good ones.
You know, I'm gonna be honest. I think how I got in fighting games was just as simple as I grew up with a similarly, well, I had a real PS2 growing up, but the game we put the most time into was Army Men Sarge's Heroes 2, which is a cheap-ass ghetto game. But nonetheless, it was the one that my parents picked up, and I guess they thought it was really cool, largely because you're playing as little plastic green men, like the guys in Toy Story, they would always say. And I thought it was cool that at one point you switched to a different character for a couple levels. And then we picked up Red Dead Revolver. Red Dead Revolver is, by the way, very... I've talked about Red Dead Revolver at length before, but you switch between a variety of characters over the course of its main story. Like, it's something like 7 or 8 characters, I want to say. And I thought that was the coolest as a kid. Oh, so many different characters, and they all played differently. And then I rented a copy of Soul Calibur 2, and I saw the cast of, like, oh my god, 14 characters, and they all play entirely differently? Oh my god! I'm not playing as the girls, though.
Yeah.
Who's this Necrid? He seems awesome! As a kid, I loved Necrid. I don't know why. I think I thought it was just cool that he could make different weapons out of energy.
Maybe.
Oh, man. I think it's really just that simple. I think that was always the early appeal for me of fighting games, was just big cast of characters that play different.
Yeah. I get that. I think I was spoiled by like late 90s SNK, because between the NES and the well, no, when was this?
Well, let's be real here. For its era, nobody offered a better value on character roster than KOF 2002.
That's the thing, though. I never played 2000. Well, no, I probably played 2002, but the thing is, like, the thing you have to keep in mind is that, like, when I played these, I didn't play the home console version. I played the arcade version, because that's what I had access to. So
I'm not sure there was an arcade version of 2002.
So yeah, then I probably didn't play 2002. But yeah, like, there was a time where I just kind of caught up on a lot of games, because, like, you know, I played Street Fighter 2 on the SNES, whatever. I like that game, but cool. I think my second game after that was Tekken 5, which explains why I think Tekken 5 is the one good Tekken at this point.
Yeah.
Every other one was a fluke. Nah, that's a lie. I played Tekken 3 when I was -1. A little
You
bit.
can't seriously be of the take that Tekken Tag 2 is bad. Come on.
It's mid.
Do you hate Rage that much?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's Rage and it's the customization, really. Because, like, the customization is better than Tekken 5. Also, it's been 10 years since Tekken 5. So, you know.
Tekken Tag 2 didn't come out 10 years after Tekken 5?
I don't remember when Tekken 5 came out, to be fair.
Hang on. Let's see. The original version of Tekken 5 was in Japan released in November of 2004. Oh, wait, that was the arcade version. The PlayStation version, the arcade version wouldn't have had customization.
Yeah.
The PlayStation version was February of 2005. Dark Resurrection was released later in 2005 and then put on the PSP and PS3. Hang on, let's see. And then Tekken Tag 2
Was 2013.
was 2012.
Ah.
The arcade version dropped in 2011, actually. That's a surprise. But yeah, that would have been a 7-year gap, not a 10-year gap.
I mean, still 7 years is pretty big. And then you have to consider that, like, you know, Tekken 6 did come out, but Tekken 6 also had a better customization suite than Tekken Tag 2. What?
I just go down to the directory section of the Wikipedia article on Tekken Tag 2. It is part of 2 directories. Do you know what those 2 directories are?
What?
Tekken, Snoop Dogg.
Nice.
Also, shout out to the fact that the development section also features a picture of the game's E3 booth babes.
Ah.
Sweet Jesus.
It was 2005.
No, I'm talking about Tag 2, so that'd have been 2011.
Tag 2s. Oh.
Yeah. I don't think Snoop Dogg was in Tekken 5.
Oh, I thought these were like 2 separate things. Like, you know, for Tag 2 it's Snoop Dogg, for Tekken 5 it's the boot babes. No, I guess not.
You gotta remember Mass Effect 3 features a chick from IGN and you have sex with her.
Right.
That game came out in that game came out in 2012 as well, didn't it? Or did it come out in 2013?
But yeah, like, either which way, I played Tekken 5, really liked that
2012.
game. Ah. Let's see, what would have been I think Soul Calibur 3 would have been after that. Where, like, I played both Tekken 3 and Soul Edge, and no, I think it was just Soul Edge that I played when I was very little on PS1, but, like, I don't really count those because I don't actually remember when those happened. They just happened. Like, it's a thing that just it's a thing that exists, but I can't actually pinpoint when.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then after I got bored of Tekken 5, and before I got a 360, I just went on a binge of playing a lot of arcade games, or arcade fighting games, and yeah, not only the arcade fighting games, but the arcade versions of those fighting games, because that's what I had access to, and that's how I, you know, got into KOF. That's how I that's how I got into Plasma Sword, which will never get a re-release.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I got into, like, it. What can I really
I don't
play?
know.
That's weird.
Capcom, anything that came out of Capcom except maybe Street Fighter EX, I wouldn't be shocked to see a remaster or port of nowadays.
I mean, the thing is, like, if Street Fighter 6 does well, then they might consider it. And I hope Street Fighter 6 does well, because Street Fighter 6 seems to be doing everything right, and I want it to succeed. But
Yes.
But yeah, like, you know, if they do that, and if the other releases worked well, then they might release Plasma Sword and Star Gladiator in a bundle. But, like, they'd have to put that into the other stuff, because, like, Plasma Sword and Star Gladiator, as much as I love them, or in the Red Earth category of, like, who?
Yeah, there's a reason that Darkstalkers had to be the headliner for that collection.
Yeah.
Because everybody'd been wanting some Darkstalkers remasters for a while, and it was definitely also to get cool ports of. It was definitely cool to get ports of Cyberbots and Red Earth, but a port collection of Cyberbots and Red Earth would not have sold.
Yeah, so like, if they really re-release Plasma Sword and Star Gladiator, I expect them to bundle it with like Power Stone and like the EX series maybe, if they can get the rights with Arika, worked out with Arika, and I don't know what other 3D games they had in that era, because it was mostly that, honestly.
Yeah.
Fucking put in Duo that same Final Fantasy, whatever it was called.
When are they porting Final Fight Streetwise?
Yeah. I like the joke of Capcom porting that one Final Fantasy 3D fighting game that wasn't even theirs.
Nah.
I wanted to call it Duo Destin, but I think that's Final Fantasy 15 something. I guess I'll look that up, but I'm pretty, yeah, that's Dissidia, which isn't the game that I'm thinking about. No, there's a game on the PS2 that they made that was Final Fantasy themed, but I don't think it might have used Final Fantasy character, whatever. Point being, it was like, imagine the worst parts of Bushido Blade and Power Stone, and that's what the game seemed like.
Oh joy.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, you want to speak of the most designs that you like, those are kid in fighting games. Look at this nerd.
Hang on, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I said, speaking of dumb character designs that you liked in fighting games growing up, look at this nerd.
Oh boy, what is this gonna be? I don't know. The arm cannon's the only part of that I'm not big on. Otherwise, I mean, I think if that's like a Gundam fighting game or something like that, I think that's.
Now this is the final boss of Digimon Rumble Arena, but like, you look at this model. It's
That doesn't look like it does it. That looks like most of the Digimon I've seen, honestly.
Yeah,
but I know this has been kind of a thing lately of just like you're really into Digimon, and every time you pick up Digimon, I'm just like, but like that looks like the Digimon I've seen.
I'm not saying
that game is fucking ugly.
Yeah, it's fucking old. It was on the PS1. Like,
holy Jesus.
Yeah.
That dude looks like a transformer.
Yes. Like you wanna shit talk any of the Digimon designs? You can shit talk most of the late stage designs, which these are, and I will probably agree, because most of them are just like, what if we made stinky Gundams? And like,
that dude looks like what would happen if Megatron and the Grim Reaper fucked.
Which one?
The first dude you were showing off with the arm Reaper cannon that actually seems to come out of his arm.
Yeah, Reapermon. He's yeah, I can see it. I like the side hand. That doesn't really make sense. But yeah, like, no, like
sometimes you just really need to be able to cut bread easily.
Yeah, true. But you know, like, looking at both of these character designs, which one of them is Omegamon, for those at home trying to keep up. Like, looking at these two guys, at least Reapermon has like a consistent design. Omegamon is not designed too consistently on purpose, because he's like the merging of two Digimon or whatever the fuck, I don't know. It just looks bad in my opinion. But then, like, a lot of the late stage designs are just once again just like, what if Gundam or what if Knight, which are very boring. At least in my opinion.
I resort to my usual Digimon. I have no opinions about this.
Yeah. I mean, the best part is, last time this was brought up, you said you didn't grow up with Digimon. Neither did I. I watched Frontier. Like half of Frontier, and that's it. But yeah.
What are we talking about?
Multiverses.
No, we
That's the,
weren't. We were not talking about that. We've been not talking about that for a long fucking time now.
that's the last thing I remember.
Oh, well, I guess that's pretty well the extent of the news this week then, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any interesting topics that I can find, but best that no, that's all of the news.
I'm
I
not sure
think.
we need them.
Yeah.
I think we got enough time here. Which, have you played any fighting games the past 2 weeks?
No.
Okay.
I just
So
want
I've
to.
put a bit of time.
I want to bring this up because I like this idea that I just read. Sometimes Akuma causes a child laugh track, then should cause a sitcom laugh track.
That is a good idea.
Like
I do like that.
like I'm just imagining it's like Akuma
Okay.
causes a child left track when he does a combo or whatever, does a super. Then should cause a sitcom left track whenever he gets hit. Well, no, not just hit. Whenever he gets comboed, because if it's on hit, then it would get too overwhelming.
So with Akuma, you hear the kids laughing after he does the Raging Demon.
Yeah.
So what it should be is the next time they do any kind of like game that's non-canon to the Street Fighter timeline, if they ever do Marvel vs. Capcom 4 or CVS 3, Dan should be there. He should have a shitty ripoff of the Raging Demon that doesn't work. And when he connects it, yes, it should play the laugh track from Seinfeld or Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. Oh, it's not often. It's not often that we find good ideas, but when we do find good ideas, boy, they're really good.
But either which way, so I put a bit of time into Garrow a few days ago. I played through Garrow's arcade mode with the Kevin Ryan and the T-Zoc. Boy, that was night and day. I was routinely having to lower the difficulty. A wild pink appeared. Pink,
Yeah.
you've actually got good timing. We were just about to wrap FGA. I was just hitting my last couple things.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I've beat it with Kevin Ryan and T-Zoc. Night and day. T-Zoc, I can generally take on the standard SNK AI because, fuck you, you got close. Command grab. Oh, hey, you jumped, lariat. Okay,
Yeah.
sweet. Kevin Ryan, I had to routinely take the game over lower difficulty option. I have shame. And both times I was confused. Hey, wait, why did I just fight Grant? Why didn't I get to fight Kane afterwards? I just fought Goro with no Shang Tsung. I fought Kintaro with no Shao Kahn. What's going on here?
You weren't cool enough.
Yes, actually. So Kane only appears as the final boss. Kane outright replaces Grant as the final boss of Garo, as long as you did not lose a single round and every single match was ranked at least A. So you had to make sure to finish rounds with supers.
Yeah.
Which I just naturally went, oh, so I'm never going to get to fight Kane then.
I mean, Garo is very generous with the meter, though. And DX moves don't exist.
It is, but unless you can lower the AI difficulty to like potato level, I am never going to get to a position in Garo where I'll finish the arcade mode without dropping a single round. Like Soul Calibur 2, Soul Calibur 3, I think I got to see Night Terror once. I think there was one time where I didn't drop a single round in arcade mode and I got to see Night Terror instead of Abyss.
Yeah.
Right. And Soul Cal 2's final boss was Inferno. I always get Inferno and Abyss mixed up. Boy, we were talking about Soul Calibur quite a bit there, Pink. Pink, did you hear what Addy had heard, that they were thinking about doing a Soul Cal collection?
Yeah, Addy told me about that the other day.
That would be... It depends on what games they get, but that could be hot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it has to stop before Soul Cal 4. Not just because Soul Cal 4 is bad, but also because there's no way they're getting the license for Star Wars ever again.
Right.
But I guess the question is, do they put it on Nintendo? if they
If
do
they
it,
can get it on Nintendo, then yeah, I'd love to see them re-release Soul Calibur 2 with Link as a playable character for the first time since 2002 or whatever. That'd be hype.
But what Addy pointed out before was when they ported Soul Cal 2 to Xbox 360 and PS3, Xbox 360 and PS3 got a like super version of Soul Cal 2 that had both Heihachi and Spawn. So the question is, if they ever put it on Switch now, would Switch players get all 3 crossover characters?
I don't see why not.
Because that would be crazy to actually get like an ultimate version of Soul Cal 2 with all the guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to see Heihachi give Link a noogie.
Right. I mean, I don't know what the legal ramifications are for Heihachi, but Spawn, give Todd McFarlane $3 and he's yours for a week.
They own Heihachi. He's from Tekken. He's from the same developer.
Ah, well, in that case, yeah, there's absolutely zero reason why they would have any trouble with that.
But yeah, either which way, let's see. I also put time into Injustice, the first one. And that game is weird. It's aged a lot better than Injustice 2. It's still a fucking ugly game. Just around then looked ugly. But it's not got that weird camera angle Injustice 2 has where you feel like you're watching somebody make something in, like, Unity. Right? Like a cheapo Unity proof of concept game, right? Injustice 2 feels like that.
Injustice 2 is watching someone else play Injustice 2.
It does kind of feel like that, yes. And of course, there's no gear system, thank God.
I still don't have the Nightwing outfit. I'm never gonna get it.
Oh my God. Dude, I'm sitting there. I know I have Injustice 2. It would be sad if I ever got an Elgato. One of the first things I'd have to do is just show off how sad I was as a teenager by opening up the character inventories and seeing the amount of legendaries I picked up for the entire base cast plus the first season of DLC.
Right.
And then you can look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I've got like 4 items. Oh, boy. Anyways, yeah, Injustice 1. Boy, it is wacky going back and seeing how some of the characters' designs in that game are just so nuts. Because I've mentioned that, like, Solomon Grundy has a projectile that is homing. He does not need to bother controlling where it goes. It just automatically, it's zombie hands that seek out the feet of the opponent regardless of where they are. They hit low. They're safe at any range, even if you do it point blank. Come out really quickly. And if you meet or burn it, you get a full combo or a full grab off of it. Addy, is there a single stronger grappler support tool than that?
I'm not sure.
Because, like, even with Tager's magnet, like, Grundy can still use that to force you to just stand still while he comes to you. It's crazy.
Yeah, like, it's the Jinpachi stand.
And don't forget, Grundy can also apply fart gas to himself before he grabs you as well, which throws on an, like, extra 10% free.
Oh, right.
And also, one of his grab chains leads to a, like, 2% damage, a 10% damage buff.
Ah.
And he also has an overhead special move, so he has mix-ups out of any normal. It was honestly like, I'm going... So here's the thing. It's been a while since I've felt this. This is a bit of an exaggeration, but it gets the point across. It felt like I was reuniting with an old lover. Oh, Grundy, I forgot how I loved you. There was definitely a feeling of, oh boy, if we ever play Injustice, I need to pull a kanji and convince you guys to never play Injustice 1 again.
You don't need to. You don't need to. I just need to boot up the lab, and then I realize that it feels like shit.
Did I forget to mention he also has a command grab where he walks forward and then grabs, and it's armored.
Ah.
And it leaves you right next to him. Oh boy.
Grundy has that in his kit, and he's still probably not even the top tier in Injustice 1. Because Injustice 1 was stupid.
Pink is his name Martian
Dude.
Manhunter. Then you can assume that he is not top tier.
Oh my god. Dude, Martian Manhunter, every time I come back, I get it mixed up every time. Every time I come back, I'm just like, what do you mean he has Seeking Teleport overhead for a free combo that doesn't cost meter? Every time I think that little teleport dive kick that hits overhead and pops up for a combo, every time I'm like, well, obviously that's the meter burn version. No, it's not. It's fucking not. Oh, I think it's, if memory serves, it's also safe. It's also safe. Oh god. Oh, it's funny though what Pink was talking about. There are so many of the characters. There are some characters in that game that I try out. And I'm like, okay, not only is this character like low on all the tiers, I fail to see what is good about him at all. Shazam and Black Adam both just seem like they suck. Well, Black Adam at least has some stuff with the dive kicks, but like Black Adam in particular, everybody who played Injustice 2 knows this. Black Adam is an okay noob killer because he has a low projectile. But once you're going against someone who knows to block low, he just kind of sucks.
How can you say that about The
Shazam! He even has an alternate costume where he actually is bald like The Rock. It's funny. Shazam is just generally kind of stinky. But then I go and try out Joker or Lex Luthor, who are both pretty low on the tiers. Lex Luthor is a bit higher than Joker on the tiers. I think Lex Luthor is considered mostly to be held down on the tier list, largely because he is one of the only fighting game characters that have come out in the last 15 years that has a legitimate 9-0 matchup. Or excuse me, 0-9 matchup, there we go, against good old Zod, which we've talked about this before, but it's Zod. Lex Luthor has the biggest hitbox in the game and very limited movement capabilities. Zod has the ability to Tiger Knee his air projectile to pretty well entirely deny movement to him because his hitbox is so big. But either which way, Luthor, I forgot, Luthor's not only got a hyper fast projectile out of that staff, I forgot that if you hold the button, it becomes unblockable.
Wow.
I forgot Luthor also has the space laser, which just it just takes a second to come in, but it homes. It is also unblockable. He can meter burn it to shoot out 3 missiles that cover a wide area. They are also unblockable and pop up for a combo. He can, by the way, I remember Luthor at launch. You press the circle button, okay, he puts armor on. Okay, and I remember it taking a while for him to do that. Change that later on. Luthor now can get full armor for 10 straight seconds by just holding down the circle button for a second. Just give up one combo ending and you have armor for the next 10 seconds. Oh, also it makes it where that hit that he armors through also doesn't do any damage. Oh, also he has air dashes. And mines that he can place on the ground and combo you into, which also are a combo linker. Like, okay, Luthor, one of the worst characters in the game, still has lots of broken shit. Oh boy, Joker. So Joker in particular is a character, last I saw he was considered the worst character in the game. These things change, it should be mentioned. I haven't paid a lot of attention to Injustice 1's competitive scene since like the first year the game was out. So these things can change. And we've mentioned it before on the Shut Your Mouth Lounge. I don't know if we've ever brought it up on FGA. Probably at some point, because I repeat myself a lot. But the best example I can think of that is Captain fucking Cold in Injustice 2.
Yep.
Who went, after the final update, Sonic Fox tried him. After the final update. So they never went back and changed this. Captain Cold, once Sonic Fox figured him out, suddenly went from, just like, agreed by everyone, the worst character in the game, to, oh no, this character's top 5, if not the best zoner in the game. This character's super good. What the fuck? So I can't say whether or not Joker really was thought to be that much stronger going forward, but Injustice 2, Joker was Injustice 1 Joker, but slightly stronger, and he was still thought to be quite weak, so I imagine that didn't change much. But Joker generally has kind of a poopy kit. The stupid laughing gas, right? Like, his kit is built around throwing the laughing gas canisters, and the laughing gas canisters suck. They don't feel good to use, and they don't feel good to be on the receiving end of. They're just kind of annoying. But I forgot, he not only does have a special move that hits low and a special move that hits overhead, so he gets mix-ups out of any normal. But oh, right, the fucking teeth. I believe I mentioned the teeth here on the text channels of the Discord. But the teeth, he puts out, okay, it sits there for a second and then it pops. It hits low. On its own, shouldn't really be that strong, right?
Yeah.
However, the issue is, as Joker, you get a knockdown and you put down the teeth, no matter what. As Joker, the key to getting good with Joker is remembering to always put down teeth. And the thing is that if you have the right timing, keep in mind, Injustice has a universal overhead on forward heavy that pops up for a combo. The teeth also pop up for a combo off of a low. You can hold the button, you can hold the heavy button to delay the universal overhead. So you can precisely time it to hit the opponent with the overhead at the exact same time the teeth low hits them. Which of course means it's an unblockable. And for all intents and purposes, you don't have to have perfect timing. You could just get it close, because it's entirely absurd to predict for the opponent. Because at the very best, they are dealing with a doomsday kind of situation where it's like, I have to block low and then overhead, or overhead then low within a split second.
Yeah.
I don't think you were there for that, Pink, but I mentioned this to Addy. Doomsday in Injustice 1. He didn't come back to Injustice 2, but Doomsday in Injustice 1 has a special move where he just simply sticks his hand up in the air and then he smacks down the ground. When he hits the ground, it makes a little low hitting AoE, but if he does it next to the opponent, his fist coming down is an overhead, and it instantly goes from overhead low. Faster than I could say it. And so the Doomsday matchup depends a lot on learning, how am I going, getting a rhythm there of instantly going from blocking high to blocking low. Otherwise, Doomsday just gets free mix-ups and you will just get shit on.
I see.
Yeah, so you can set up that kind of situation with Joker. Which, if you have good enough timing, can by all means, unless you screw up the timing and the opponent has a good reversal, which this is an NRS game, so there aren't that many good reversals, you can more or less just get the opponent locked in a permanent, unblockable setup. And Joker's generally considered the worst character in the game. Oh man, what a weird game. What a mysterious Kusoge.
Yeah.
Alright, and that's the extent of what I did this past couple weeks. I believe it's time that we wrap this up and head it on to your birthday special, Eddie.
Maybe. Fighting games were, I guess.
Yes. Let me crack open the GIMP. that didn't sound right.
That's all right.